and take me out of aerial PTO. You guys come over here and take a look at this lamp. That'll be a dead giveaway, but also listen up and listen the difference between when it's in aerial PTO and when it's not. See, it's pretty subtle, but it's there, and I'm always gonna I want 1, 2, 3 pieces of information that's going to verify. Just like we do when we go shift into pump gear in the cab, right? In an engine. We got like 3 or 4 different things that's telling us we're in pump gear. So if one malfunctions, okay, maybe we can go to the next one. When we're trying to troubleshoot, that's how we're trying to work, right? Okay. So what do we not have right now? We don't have hydraulic power. So what does our hydraulic power do for us again? It moves things, right? It moves our skeleton. So what backup system, given what's presented to you right now, what backup system would we go to as still within our capability to say moving this stabilizer out?
Emergency EPU. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So why don't you two guys team up to see if we can get movement on these 2 stabilizers coming out. Let's go. My fault. Got to remember the diverter valve. Now, the high idle isn't going to help us out because the high idle is increasing RPMs in the motor, and we're battery powered right now.
Okay, so the PTO, yeah, power's on. Okay.
See the difference there?
Yeah. Okay.
So the high idle is going to help us out when we got a front line, which we don't.
Okay.
See the difference there?
Yeah.
Okay. So does everybody get an idea of if we lose aerial PTO, i.e. the motor, the PTO drive shaft, or the hydraulic pump, what are we going to? EPU. We solid on that? Okay. Now, if you wouldn't mind, let's have you go back in the cab, take me out of aerial master and put me in aerial PTO. Let's all come over here and have a listen.
Now do those, everything's gone, like let's say your master and your PTO are both gone.
We're going to get into that. Okay, so now we got the hum, right? But we can't rely on this guy because why can't we rely on this to tell us we're in PTO?
Electric stack.
Right, so our brain center's gone. The brain center in the truck is gone, so now we got to rely from back here. We know he shifted it up there, and that's good if you're the one doing it. But if we're trying to troubleshoot back here, I don't have my panel on. Well, can I give a listen and see if I know I most likely don't have electricity here, but do I have PTO? Yeah, sounds like I do. So this is a trick question. Set you guys up for failure. Should we be able to move these stabilizers right now, given that we have PTO, our hydraulic power, and these are not reliant on electricity?
I want to say yes.
A good answer is yes. If that tells me that you're grasping what I've been telling you, so that's a good answer. But unfortunately, let's give that a try. Let's try to. Are we all the way out? Let's try to bring these things down.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where a little bit, some more apparatus familiarity is going to be key. On this truck, if we lose aerial master, what's the part of our brain that prevents us from doing stupid things? Safety interlocks. The safety interlocks are part of the brain, which is based on electricity, correct? Do we have electricity right now? So our safety, that part of our brain is not functioning the way it should be. So what is going to happen on some trucks is if there's no aerial master, It basically, every safety interlock is engaged. It shuts you down completely. Yep, everything is unsafe. Very well said. So you're going to have to override everything. Right now, are we doing anything unsafe by trying to bring the stabilizer down? That aerial is not out of the cradle. We're just trying to stabilize it. Nothing is unsafe about this, but it's going to make you override it. The reason why that's key is it's important to know what you're going to have to do if you lose aerial master, but it's also key to know how your truck responds, because I know Quint 1, and I would be surprised if it's the only one, is the total opposite. If you lose aerial master, nobody's got your back. Every safety interlock is completely disengaged regardless of what you do. See what I'm getting at? So on this truck, no aerial master, everything's gone. I'm sorry, I should say that better. No aerial master, all the safety interlocks are engaged, and you're going to have to override every single action, even if it's completely safe. On Quint 1, you could be driving Quint, you could attempt to raise Quint 1 out of the cradle and raise it 100 feet in the air. Probably wouldn't get there without stabilizing the truck if you lost aerial master. Everybody follow on that? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back in. We're going to give me aerial master and aerial PTO, and we're going to set the truck up in a configuration to test our safety interlocks and make sure they're working properly. And once we assess that they are working properly, we're going to manipulate the situation and pretend that they were malfunctioning and make sure that the overrides are working properly. Once you're done. So just give me aerial PTO, aerial master, and we'll get this thing set up the way we want it. Here's the configuration that I want from you on this side. I want you to bring the stabilizers all the way out, and then I want you to bring them in just a touch, and then bring them down. Atchison, here's what I need from you. I need you to bring these guys all the way out, and then bring them all the way down, and then with this one, once it's down, bring it back up like 5 inches. Now let's see this is a particular situation that we want to demonstrate the interlocks, but let's see what our brain center is telling us. Do we have a brain center? How do we know? All their lights are on. Is the brain center functioning totally properly right now? Should we have an alarm right now? Yes, so we've noticed that Quint 17 is a little touchy. When we have no stabilizers deployed and we first go into aerial master, aerial PTO, we hear it. But then if at some point we do get 4 stabilizers down and then we bring it back up, it's gone. That's one of the intricacies that we'd be looking for on our own truck. And when you guys come down here, you're going to be the instructor and I'm going to be the teacher. And you're going to be like, this is how my truck works. See what I'm saying? So, what do we have? We have the brain center. Not working 100% right now because we have no audible alarm right now, which we should. Do we have PTO? How do we know? We know because you put it in when you got out of the cab, and we also have a light and we can hear it. Okay. Are we stabilized right now? Do we have 4 stabilizers planted? Okay. We're on the impression we don't because we can see a gap right there and we can know that this light is not lit. Forgot to talk about this. This is every shift change right here. It just lights everything up. Because if this light is burned out and you don't know it, you can see how that would be a problem. So now we know that this light works and it's not lit, so we're not stabilized over here. Are we short jacked?
It doesn't say we're short jacked.
It doesn't? I'm not like, what does that say right there?
Oh, okay.
Okay, I know this ain't your truck, so I'm not trying to, but once you get familiar with your brain center, you would know that this truck is saying you're not fully extended. Does it say where? Scooch over for me for a little bit. Does it say where? No. That is one of the benefits of the newer trucks. That's where this one's a little short. on the new trucks, you're going to have 2 green lights in every location. One's going to telling you you're planted, like these are, and then one's going to telling you that you're fully extended. This one doesn't have that. It's just going to tell you somewhere you're not fully extended. Sounds good? Okay. Now, that kind of comes into the idea of when we're stabilizing, rapid stabilizing, we say, don't go up here until you got 4 green lights. What we really probably should be saying is, don't go up here until you got 4 green lights and no amber lights. Or if you're on Quint 15 or Quint 3, we should be saying, don't go up here until you got 8 green lights. See what I'm getting at? Unless, of course, you are intentionally short jacking. The problem is that when we're rapidly stabilizing, we get in this deal and we want to get the stabilizers out as quick as possible, and we hear this one slam open, so we let go, but the one up there is just off by this much, not all the way out, and then we bring them down. And here's my joke for the day, one of them. Just prepare yourselves. Being short jacked is like being pregnant. Huh? There's no such thing as being a little short jacked. If you're short jacked and it senses it, I don't care if one stabilizer is off by that much, you're not going to that side. See what I'm saying? So that's why you want 4 green lights, no amber. Unless, of course, you're intentionally, and you know you're not going to be operating in that side. Sounds good? So right now, given our understanding of the stabilizer aerial override, should you be able to go up here and bring the aerial out of the cradle? No. Why don't you step up there and just try it? Why don't we, can we scoot this back just a touch? Okay, that's good, I think. That's good. Not happening. Okay, so our stabilizer aerial override is functioning properly right now, right? Because we shouldn't be able to do that. That's a bad idea. But since we're doing it in a controlled environment to learn right now, we are going to do it. So what would you think that we need to do to get that aerial out of the cradle?
Come here to the aerial override.
Okay, so go ahead and pull it and let them know when you're pulling it and see if we can take it out of the cradle.
Do we put pressure on it like we would down here?
Not necessarily in that same way, no. So just go, you don't have to coordinate it as well. Just he can pull it and then you can go.
Yes, sir. All right, I'm gonna pull it now.
Thank you for. Okay. So are we coming out? We're coming out. Now why don't you do me a favor and let go of that? We still moving? He's not pulling his override anymore. Okay, you can stop.
So now since he stopped, would I have to pull it again?
I don't know, let's try. Okay, the aerial portion of the stabilizer aerial override acts different than most every other portion of the override. It's pretty much a threshold thing. All you got to do is get him out of the cradle, and then he's going to have free range. Okay, as opposed to the stabilizer override, it's a dead man switch. So if we were to try to move one of these stabilizers right now with this out of the cradle, which would be a bad idea under all other circumstances, but we're doing it the right way to learn, you would have to hold on to this thing the entire time while somebody was moving this thing. Follow on that? Okay. So now, let's just verify that. So what I would like you to do is see if you can move the rear stabilizer down. Let's just make sure that the safety interlocks are working properly. Should he be able to do this right now?
Can't do it.
No. Okay, now let's make sure our overrides are working properly. Oop, we lost this one. We lost one over here. Go ahead and give me a little bit more. Rear. Okay. Okay. Now, see what I'm getting at? We had to have him pull for the entire operation. So now we know that our stabilizer aerial override is working properly on this truck, at least in the circumstances that we just showed right now. Does everybody understand that? And then we understand that in fact we were on scene and that safety interlock was in fact malfunctioning, we'd know how to override it safely. Sounds good? Okay. Are we short jacked somewhere? Yes, we know that because we set it up on this side to be short jacked. Just oh so much. So now let's go over up here and see if we can rotate this thing over to the side and see what happens. Let's try to rotate this thing over to the right. Should we be able to?
No.
No, all right, let's try it.
Since that stabilizer is...
Here, do me a favor, I get nervous when we're half on, half off. Did it stop you right there?
No, I stopped it.
Okay, let's try to move it to the right.
So since that override is pulled, then...
Did it stop you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now give it a whirl. All right, I'm gonna let go. Stops you. Now let's keep going. All right, I'm gonna let go. All right, let's stop right there.
Okay, so once you're past...
Yep. What we learned about this truck is unlike the way I recall other trucks being. The way I recall other trucks being is that if you're operating over to what the computer is sensing as a short jack side, this is going to be a dead man switch. You're going to have to hold it the entire time. On this truck, there seems to be, this is what we found out yesterday, there's a range where it's going to be dead man in that range. You have to hold it the whole time we're working through that range, but once you get out past that range, now you can do whatever you want. So that would be another thing that you'd want to know about your truck, that you could get caught up in a situation where you override it to a certain extent, and if somebody's under the impression that you have to override everything and now you don't, they could put this thing into a dangerous situation. Sounds good? Okay, now try to move it back to the left. Not happening? Now I'll try to move it back to the left. Okay, I let go, and we're in the range, it's dead man. We're out of the range, and we're good. Okay, a lot of people ask, why wouldn't it allow me to go left, back to the safe? Because the reason why is because the sensors don't know if we're working off the front of the truck or the back of the truck. Picture, if you will, if we were off the back of the truck, left would be taking us into the danger zone and right would be bringing us back to the safe zone. Does that make sense? Okay. So now, let's go ahead and bring this thing down. Let's bed it.
While we have it out though, if we were over this way, do we have to pull something? Is there something to let us extend it or retract, or will we be able to do it without that?
No, we won't need, once we get out of the range where we have to override the short jacking, we're still good, because even though actually we did stabilize, we're stabilized. So no. Okay. If we were not stabilized or was sensing that we were not stabilized, we still wouldn't have to, because we realize that when it comes to the aerial, once it's out of the cradle, we're good. That's right. Right? And the reason why is on the cradle there's a lever arm, and it's just sensing that that aerial is in the cradle. As soon as that lever arm is disengaged, it allows you free range. Okay. And the reason why that's done for a reason is because if you got a real heavy load within specs, you're still operating safely, but you have a real heavy load off to one side, you might lose a stabilizer on the opposite side, and that's okay. But if they set it up where as soon as you lose a stabilizer, it freezes up the aerial, you'd be dead in the water at that point. You see what I'm getting at? Yeah. That's why they say as soon as you get out, as soon as you've overridden it to get out, we'll call it safe. All right, real quick, I want to show you the super special EPU. So what I need you to do is go to the front of the truck, take me out of aerial PTO, aerial master, shut down the truck, and just turn the battery switch on. Okay? Right now, we know the configuration up there because we just told you. But based on our experience so far, do we have aerial master on? Do we have aerial PTO? is the truck even running right now? No. So we got nothing. Or we got something. What did I tell you about the battery switch? Battery switch is on. So battery switch is on. So let's say we're in the middle of an operation and we're really up against it. We were about to set that aerial for egress to a very crucial part of the structure. We suck something into our air intake and it shuts the whole operation down. We can't even get the truck started again. And most people would say we're dead in the water. But you guys would know that this EPU, unlike the ones that would be over here and the one that's up there, which are relying on aerial master, this one is the very special one. It goes straight to the battery. So
it's only one, right?
Only one. And sometimes it'll be here, sometimes it'll be in the hatch down here. So let's see using this EPU if we can bring this stabilizer up. So you let me know when you're ready. Okay, I'm gonna let go. What happened? Nothing happened. Okay. The stabilizer didn't move, but did you hear it kick on? So something's not quite right, but we might be on the right track. What do we know about our safety interlocks when we don't have aerial master?
Well, everything's engaged.
Everything's engaged, so we have to override every action regardless of if it's completely safe. What we're trying to do right now is completely safe. The aerial is in the bed. It's cradled, I should say. So if I were to pull this stabilizer override, and you let me know when you're ready.
Right.
Okay. So this is pretty cool, I think, right now. With just the battery switch on, this truck's not even running. We still have capabilities. It's not going to be great, but sometimes you just got to get the job done one way or another. So this truck, we can't even get it started, still has capabilities.
Now, just for I know you're short on time, but let's say everything was like this. We still needed to operate the aerial.
That I would be extremely efficient with my movements, and here's why. Under the best of circumstances, the EPU is not going to be able to have a good work capacity, right? But right now we don't even have the motor running, which means that we don't have the alternator running, which means that we might be trying to do an aerial operation strictly off of batteries that are not being charged. See what I'm getting at? So it's like I said, when we're operating with the EPU with the truck on, yes. And when we're operating with the EPU in this circumstance, absolutely yes. We have to have a defensive mindset. But if it's a matter of, you know, we got to get the job done right now, I'm going to do everything I can to do it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, it's hard. I can't give you a blanket statement on that. Like,
just expect that you might just be totally dead in the water.
Yeah, you're going to have to shift gears big time. The rate and the work rate and the work capacity that you're used to, it's not going to be there. But that doesn't mean you can't get anything done. You know what I mean? You could get this aerial out of a collapse zone. You could get it away from sagging power lines. You could get it the extra 10 feet that it needs to be set to that window that we can't access with ground ladders. You see what I'm getting at? So I guess, yeah, you just put it, the best way I could say is we're going to have to shift gears and still know that we are capable of certain things.